This is Overtime, a live series brought to you by Lynx and War Room Media, where we talk about basically anything we want. And here are your hosts, Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. Ryan,
my man.
I see you, Superman, over there on the bookcase, man. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I got a. See, it's always backwards here. So I got a Superman. That's a Terminator skull. The Star Trek ship Enterprise. Let's see here.
What else you got?
Picard, Worf, and then the Predator. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a nerd, so
No, it's all right. It's all right being a nerd. I'm just thinking that they probably came from one of those Burger King meals, huh?
Wow, we're start like that, huh? Start like that. Wow, okay.
We just come right out of the box with it.
Okay. All right. I didn't know. I'm going hard already. You've been talking to Ben Samuels, ain't you?
Just get in there. Just get in there.
Good to be back though, man. Missed last week.
I know, man. I know. We when you doing just a slight bit of traveling, it never seems to end up on the right day of the week. So, but hey, we on my side, I'm currently trying to get moved into a new house there, and then taking care of some other stuff with the vehicles, and so we're living out of rentals and sleeping in sleeping bags right now. So it's good.
We're doing the same thing. If you hear the background, you might can hear they're putting new flooring down because we're getting ready to move as well. I say getting ready to move, get ready to put the house on the market. So next couple months. So
you getting ready to move into that new mayor spot there in Granbury?
Well, you gotta live in the city limits to run. So moving a little bit closer to town so I can start my formal campaign.
Oh, I'll be rooting for you, brother.
Oh, I ain't turned the comments on over here. Is anyone in the comments yet? Let's see here. No, not yet. Okay, there we go.
Not yet.
There we go.
That's all right. All right. Let's get the rundown out there. Have a little go. Mm-hmm. There are our sponsors.
Those are good looking.
14-7. Yeah, absolutely. So 14-7 are sponsors for the show. They're a small family-owned apparel company based in Alberta. Has roots in oil and agriculture. So everybody get in there and download the Lynx application and visit 14-7 and get your 10% off today. We once you download the app, you'll get a code in your email verification that'll give you that 10% off. So you can head over to the website www.14and7apparel.ca, and you can use the discount code that is sent by email with your email verification. So here is their webpage. They look like they got some new tumblers there. They got some John Deere ones. Looks like they got some fast pass fuel system ones. Some Clorox. I don't know about this one. And the Lysol ones, yeah, they look good, but you can imagine the fire you're going to get from a few people with the Lysol one after the whole injecting yourself with bleach thing last year. So,
well, here's the thing: if you put the Lysol, no one's stealing your cold beer, right? No one's going to steal your cold beer.
No one's even going to know what's in there.
In fact, if you put the Coors Light one on there, no one's going to steal your beer either. So
that's fair enough. No one's ever going to know. Ever going to know what's in there.
Oh man.
So let's get our rundown up and get started. So there we go. We'll go through our oil prices, crude inventory rise, the federal lease sale ban until June, Brett Favre on some politics and sports. Then we'll jump into that. Looks like about 3 rounds of fight updates there. And you have to apologize. There's Armageddon going on outside. But and then some drug smuggling and breakfast burritos, Ryan. So
I love some breakfast burritos. I didn't know about breakfast burritos.
I like breakfast burritos too, man. But looks like these people were going to use them for some other things. But so that ought to be interesting. So without further ado, those oil prices, man. So our WTI is sitting at 61.57 change, and our Brent is sitting at 65.58. So, other than the rise and the inventory rise, we'll talk about in just a minute. What else you think's going on here, Ryan? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I think right now, you just got to be pleased with what you're seeing, right? We've had good prices for almost the whole year, and we're almost through 4 months now, right? This is the fourth month, and we're over halfway through it. So it's kind of a spot to where you got to feel like, hey, prices they're staying steady, and that's the thing that we want. Whatever you think about where the price should be, is staying steady, which is good for the industry. And so if that keeps up, then I think that's going to be a positive. And the longer it keeps up, the more production you'll see potentially come back online in the U.S. because, as we know, those U.S. wells have a quick decline curve rate, and so at some point you get to replace them. So, so I think it's a good thing as far as that goes. As far as the the viability of the price and stuff, at this point, it's there, and so it's been there, and it's when you kind of look ahead. The longer it stays at this point, the harder it is to imagine to have a quick where it drops back down to $30 a barrel or whatever. Because the longer it stays up, the longer it's going to stay up, and it's staying level. It's not going. Oh, there's the flooring guys. This FYI. So
It's all right.
So if it stays steady, then people can understand how much to drill, what's going on and off the market. All of that's kind of easier to figure out. And so driving season's coming up, demand should go up, supply should continue to go down. So I think we're in a good spot, all things considered.
Yeah. So longer it stays there, the more stable it is, the more projects you can plan at that rate. So yeah, no, I agree. But on the next part here on our crude inventory rise. So this was the end of last week, but U.S. commercial crude inventories, excluding those in strategic petroleum reserves, increased by 0.6 million barrels from the previous week. So at 493.0 million barrels, U.S. crude oil inventories are about 1% above the 5-year average for this time of the year. Now, of course, that's according to EIA and Petroleum Weekly Storage data. Just one additional comment here. We talked about, vacations and people moving around, and again here, semi-post-pandemic, if you want to call it that. But motor gasoline products supplied averaged about 8.9 million barrels per day. So that's up 61.5% from the same time last year. So we expected that. So hopefully.
Well, I mean, so the price went up, $100 year over year 2 days ago.
Everybody didn't throw their car away.
Right.
They just stopped driving it for a little while.
Right. So, listen, the quicker we get back, the quicker things will level off. And the thing that we've seen is that the U.S. production hasn't gone and outpaced the market, and that's been important. And as long as that doesn't happen, I think we're going to continue to see the price hold steady. And so it's slow and steady wins the race, as the saying goes.
That's right. All right. Looks like we got some people in from Trinidad, India, UAE, Louisiana. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to the show. So our next one, Ryan, on the I guess that one came out yesterday. So the federal oil and gas lease on sale on hold until June. So Interior Department's ongoing review of the federal oil and gas program is assessing compliance with applicable laws and, as directed by Executive Order 14008, reviewing whether the current leasing process provides taxpayers with a fair return. Okay. Yeah. So the last part there, I'm not exactly sure what they're headed, but anyway, based on our ongoing review, of course, this is BLM's here, is exercising its discretion to not hold lease sales in the second quarter of calendar year 2021. This decision does not impact existing operations, obviously, as we knew. But Ryan, question here. Now, they're saying that reviewing whether the current leasing process provides taxpayers with a fair return. So so if I was a betting man, well, as we are betting people, we do bet quite often. Sometimes our bets are not really good, but we'll get into that in a little while with the fights here. But if I was a betting man again, I think they're looking to stick more taxes on us. So, but that's me.
Well, and they got the saw going now.
So it's all right.
So when you say not fair, what does that mean, right? So there's a couple ways to judge that. You could
fair
say
return.
Well, right. Right. So you could say, what is the royalty agreement that the BLM gets, and how does that stack up to what most landowners get? And if it's the same, then the return is the standard return. Now, if for some reason that the BLM is getting a much smaller cut of the pie than your average landowner, they would potentially have an argument then, right? The other question is, will they use this as a way to re-leverage their positions to effectively push people out of the market? So they say, well, let's just say that it is equitable share, just for sake of argument. Oh, by the way, it wouldn't surprise any of us if the government didn't negotiate a good contract. So that would, that's not surprising, just to be clear. But if they come back, let's say they're getting a fair share, and they come back and say, well, you know what, we won't double that or triple that because our taxpayers need more. Well, then essentially, oil and gas companies have to decide, do they want to pay this extremely high royalty rate on the BLM land or not? So they could actually just increase. I'm not a lawyer, don't know the legality of this, potentially tear up the contract, revoke the lease, and then say, you got to pay us a better royalty. And if you don't, then you can't drill here, which would push people out of the BLM lands. That's an interesting strategy if that's what they're going for. You see what I'm saying? Like, hey, you got to increase your cut to the state, and then all of a sudden the well becomes less profitable, and then people don't drill on BLM land because the royalty's too high.
Yeah. Yep, I can see that. What else are they going to do with the land?
Nothing.
That's the thing.
In Mexico, they don't do anything with it.
So it doesn't long term. It doesn't. I mean, unless we're talking about doing something else with the land, long term, it doesn't seem like it would be a very profitable idea, or anything for the government to not let them do something with the land.
Well, the whole thing is like, how much land does the government really should the government even own? And so I don't know if all this stuff is happening to Mexico.
Well,
right.
I mean, realistically, probably none of it. But I mean, yeah.
Agreed. But okay, but let's just say for the sake of argument, you say like Yosemite or some of those big national parks. Say, okay, let's put those to the side. Yeah, I'll give you some of these big national parks. Let them have those. But the land in southeast New Mexico that they have, I mean, I haven't been over all of it, but what I've seen is there's nothing there. There's no surface value. It's just the minerals. Now, I don't know why they got it. I don't know how they got it. Someone might know, but there's really no reason for our government to maintain that land. They should sell it. They should auction it off, or should have. Now, of course, auctioning off would cause all kinds of problems, but they still should. And so, because they hold this land, then they're trying to do its best, and now it's just driving me crazy. So, but if they're going to use this as a way to leverage companies out of the industry, that's a really interesting strategy. So I'd love to hear a lawyer's take on, can they just tear up their royalty agreements on the old deals, or on the new leases, they just say, no, if you want to drill out here, the royalty is extremely high, and then companies say, that's not worth it. Because that would, so real quick, this, just so we're clear, the weird thing is this is good for prices, right? Like, this is actually good for prices.
Yeah, it's good for prices. It's good for prices, but domestically for the U.S., it's not good. So
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying the hard thing to consider is that it is good for prices, because if there's less drilling, prices go up. And so it's really weird, because as the price goes up, you're going, where are these jobs at? It's like, well, the jobs are in the U.S. Well, why? Because of stuff like this.
That's right. That's right. It just doesn't even. I just can't get my head wrapped around what you would do with billions of acres of dirt other than drill a well in it. I don't know. No, and then you look at the revenue that goes back into your public systems, just everything else that the revenue does. It's just not. I mean, what are you going to do? Everybody's going to pay taxes to take care of the property ultimately. And I mean, you're not able to get any kind of return from the property back into the system. So it's just it's like a one-way street headed out the door. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Agreed.
All right. Just a couple of little things there on the market news, but also just for listeners out there, there is some action in the background with Reps Chip Roy and Lauren Bobart to force a House vote to reverse the executive orders. But Bobart being from Colorado and Roy being from right here in Texas, so I mean, you can watch this, but I don't expect anything to come from it. But I certainly support an about face based on what our economy needs right now. But until there's a viable, plentiful solution that's good for everybody, then it should be business as usual as far as I'm concerned. There are also reps from New Mexico.
I don't think Congress can do anything, though.
They can't.
I think this
They
is
can't.
federal.
They're right. They can stand outside. They can stand outside and complain and push and try to put some buzz in there, but there's nothing going to change. But
I think that's important to just So whether you think they should or shouldn't or whatever, I think it's important because sometimes you see these politicians like, oh, we've got to do something. We're going to pass a bill. It's like, it's not your jurisdiction. So So just for perspective, I don't think they can actually do anything, whether you support it or not. Just don't get too caught up in the hype because
it's the cheerleading on the side. That's what it is. Can't make any points with the cheerleaders. All you can do is push them on. So. But also you got reps from New Mexico and Alabama that's coming on board here the last 24 hours from what I understand. But anyway, just to add on a bit more there, because Ryan and I we can go back and forth with different things here, but we're also not Congress people, nor do we want.
We're not cheerleaders. We're like
exactly. So
look up the nosebleeds, like where's Greg and Ryan, like the top row. There we are.
Yeah, I can't even get in the building. So I mean, I'm in the parking lot.
No, we're the.
I'm in the parking lot selling.
We're the tops on the popcorn. We're not watching the game. We're working. Yes, agreed.
I'm selling scab tickets in the parking lot just to try to get by it. So, all right, moving out of the market news there. So we'll go over here for a little bit of sports. So this one here, which didn't really surprise me, but Ryan, of course, the Derek Chauvin verdict's been all over every channel. But Favre piped in on Bowling with Favre podcast there last week, and he said that politics needs to be out of sports. He believed it was hurting the games and agreed with people declining not to watch sports anymore. He also said he was aware of the backlash his comments received, but did not care, and he stands by his comments. So what's your thoughts here?
I'm
pro his comments, just to be honest.
There's two ways to look at this. I'm fine with him saying what he wants to say. So from that standpoint, I'm fine. As far as the politics and sports, it's a weird thing, right? So I like how the UFC does it. And the UFC's policy is, to my knowledge, their organization never takes a stance on anything. Dana White might take a stance. The fighter might take the opposite stance. But they, if you can say and do pretty much whatever you want to say and do. And for perspective, they have a title fight coming up at the women's 125 pound. I can't remember. It's 115? Maybe 115. Yeah, 115. And the champion is Chinese. And the challenger is born in America, but her family's from Lithuania. Or maybe she's born in Lithuania, but she's American citizen now, I think. But she made a comment criticizing Chinese government and calling communism a bad thing. In other, like the NBA, that would not be allowed. That would not be allowed. And so I'm fine with how the UFC does it, which is everyone have their opinion. There's no top-down mandate. You can say what you want to, and the organization's not going to push anything. These other organizations like the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, it seems to me that they want to push a narrative and not have a discussion. So I'm fine with Favre saying that he wants it out. I'm fine with someone saying he wants it in. I just don't want the freaking league pushing it down my throat. So if the player wants to talk about it, let the player talk about it. But I don't need the league to push it down my throat. The league should be neutral and let the players decide what they think is best for their own brand, image, career.
I mean, I'm buying a ticket. I want to see a game. That's what I want to see.
That's right.
If I wanted to see politics, I want to see everything else. I'd go back to C-SPAN. I'd go back to TV. I'd go stand out in front of DC. I'd be somewhere else. I wouldn't be at a football game or a baseball game. Which me.
Right. It's like that's what to the point about the UFC is at the end of the fight. If the fighter gets up there and goes, I want to talk about just hit mute button. Boop, it's going on. It's not a part of the broadcast experience. Whether you turn on the NBA, man, the NFL even is part of the experience. You can't just tune out for 2 minutes and just be like it's part. They ingrain it into the fabric of the thing. It's like that's not what I'm here for. I'm fine. If you get your microphone moment, and you want to talk about it. Talk about whatever you want to. That's whatever. I can mute that, but it was ingrained into the program. That's the problem. And so, so if that's what you're referring to, then I'm fine with that. Because I think on the flip side, you can make the argument that there are other political things that are ingrained that we don't think about. And so that'd be my general stance on it.
Well, I mean, you don't know what part of the money goes where, from these sports venues. You don't know what route that it takes into what representative's office. You don't know where all that goes, and you don't know who's paying who back there. So I mean, again, I think as these larger than life sports players are brand ambassadors for a later marketing strategy for their image, so Brett being from the southern parts of the states and so he's not
Wranglers.
So he's still based very much in the southern parts of the United States, and that's where his following's going to be. So
let's just talk about Brett Favre for a second, just to be clear. And I'm not trying to pick on the guy. Let's just take some facts. He was addicted to painkillers. He sent pictures of part of his anatomy to a woman as a married man. And so I say all that not to pick on Brett Favre. I say all to say that I don't take my political, my moral, my philosophical, anything from Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, LeBron James, because there's a documentary, and I would love for someone to find this. It's not out there. I can't find it. I don't remember the name of it. But I remember I was in probably 2003, 4, 5, somewhere there. ESPN made a documentary about these athletes and kind of their lifestyle, the partying, the women, and all this stuff. And there's a whole documentary kind of celebrating this lifestyle. You kind of have this thing where the media wants to prop up these guys as staples of the community, and then you find out, you have this, just to pick on Brett here, he's sending the cheerleader or the reporter, whatever she was, pictures of his anatomy. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm fine with having Brett have an opinion. It's a free country. I don't really care. And I think so many people want these big celebrities to agree with their opinion that they're willing to latch on. If Brett agrees with me, great. If he doesn't, LeBron, same. I don't really care. I don't think most of them are very thoughtful people because they're athletes and they've had to be thinking about football. Brett can break down the defense far better than I can. And again, I'm just using Brett because he's part of the story. You could insert any other athlete here. I generally feel the same way. So I think we got to get past this whole thing of celebrity X agrees with me, therefore I'm adopting that position. Is it a well thought out position? Yes or no? Let's go with that. So
Brett, if you feel so confident in it, then run for governor, and we'll see.
Yeah,
that'll there you go. So these guys, if they want to get into those positions where they want to make calls like that, then go run for office, man. Go do it. Get in there. Make a difference. Brett. That is a nice ring, though.
Listen, he's got a Super Bowl and a Hall of Fame. One more than me. One more Super Bowl and one more Hall of Fame than me. Okay. That's.
But he is doing podcasts, so I mean,
I've got more podcasts than him.
You do. So you got a little bit going.
Yeah,
for
step
you.
It up, Brett. Do some work.
Get in there. Sweat. All right, let's talk about UFC 264. So looks like they got the rematch scheduled. Boom. So for our fight fans out there, that's Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor will face off again on July the 10th. So, Ryan, I mean, early picks on this one. I mean, I'm still a Dustin here. So,
I mean, I called Dustin last time.
You did.
Dustin, people were stunned. I'm gonna stick with Dustin. I am
as well.
I don't think Conor really has that fighting spirit anymore. I think he's got his money. Good for him. And
I think he's going to have to come with a little bit of fire here. He's going to have to come with more fire than Dustin's got. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, I think so. If Dustin loses this fight, it's probably the end of his title run for anytime soon. Maybe his career, right? Because now Connor's going to move up. Like there's 3 or 4 guys. So
I mean, he could still fight Jake Paul and make some money. So
well,
which we'll talk about in a bit. So
anyway. Yeah. So I mean, let me just see here real quick. So if you pull up the UFC rankings at 155, yeah. So you got Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira, Chandler, Ferguson, and Connor. That's the top 6. So if Dustin loses, okay. So those 6 guys, they will all fight each other at some point. So you'll have 3 winners and 3 losers, obviously. So all 3 winners would then pass up Dustin, right? So he'd be at best the 4th man, depending on how he loses to Connor. So for him, the stakes are so high that he might never get a title shot, and he's got to beat those guys to get back in position. There's no guarantee of that. So I think the stakes are so high for Dustin that he will feel the pressure. He'll rise to the occasion. Connor, if he loses, he got another payday. Does he need to, does he need to keep fighting? Probably not. Maybe he wants to do some more celebrity type matches, big payday matches, but I don't think there's really much for Connor in this. If he wins, he gets a title shot. That would be a big deal. But if you've watched his last few fights, he quits. Let's just call it spade to spade. He quits. He gets tired. And even when he lost to Nate Diaz, he quit. And so I think he's tough. These guys are all tough. I think on the scale of UFC fighter tough, though, I don't think he's as tough as some of the other guys that he fights. And I think that shows when he gets tired and he doesn't have the will to keep going.
So if he can't get it in 1-2, he's out. He's out of the mix.
I would say so. So, and the whole deal, like he was saying a while back, the fight was off and now it's back on. So I'm kind of over his whole shtick, to be quite honest with you. I'm ready for him to go away.
Well, Dustin may make that happen here pretty soon.
Hey, losing a boy right there.
Yeah. Poirier.
I think I told you I met him one time, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. He's he would destroy me in about 30 seconds, but you would make the mistake thinking you could destroy him. He's a little fella.
Oh, if you go into a bar and you see any of these guys with ears like this, you don't.
Oh yeah, if you see the ear, that's a.
You don't have crosswords. Next thing you'd be like, "Sir, can I buy you a drink?"
Exactly.
That's how it's going to be.
Exactly.
Would you like a ride home or anything?
Like I used to say, if I saw Brock Lesnar in a dark alley, I'd immediately get my wallet out and begin telling him the PIN numbers for all my cards. To start there, like, okay, this one, here's the balance, here's the credit, ATMs here. That's where I'm starting at and hoping that it doesn't.
Social Security card here.
Yeah.
Here's everything.
The safes over here is locked up. Here's a combination.
Wife's telephone number. Yeah,
whatever everything.
You need.
Yeah, whatever you need. Whatever you need.
So for our other fight side there, that's BKFC 17. We talked about it a couple of shows back, but it will be here on the 30th, so just right around the corner.
Next Saturday.
So we'll refresh our picks here. So, also disclaimer: don't wager any money on anything that Ryan and I say here on the show. So that's just for entertainment, and it's not good entertainment. It's just something to fill a gap. So anyway, I think we both went with Kleckler there.
Yeah, I got Kleckler.
I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Kleckler.
Yeah, I'm Kleckler too. When we talked about it, I think there was only one fight on the card. The rest of these guys weren't there yet. So
Marcel Stamps. So I worked with Marcel for a little while back in the day. So
from Birmingham.
Yeah, he played for Alabama. I met him. Remember, I told the story about my guy getting on the second ever card. My guy fought Marcel. I ended up working with Marcel for a little while, and then we went our separate ways towards the end of my managing career. So Marcel, he's got some heat in the hands, man.
Does he?
I don't know about this guy he's fighting, but let's see here.
About Richmond here.
But Marcel, he can throw a punch. I would not want to get caught by one of his hands.
So 18-8-0. 3 losses. Nickname's a Marine. Oh, look, he's got a Superman tattoo on his chest.
Well, he's indestructible then.
Yeah, must be. I don't know.
But he's lost his last 3.
Yeah.
And he had a no contest. I don't know.
Let's look at Marcel's record.
Marcel is like 4-2, I think. Yeah.
Yep, 4-2. He's on a 1-loss streak at the moment.
Yeah, so Marcel used to fight at like middleweight, 185. He knocked out Kendall Grove. Not his last fight, but 2 fights ago.
His last weigh-in, he was 176.
Right. Well, no, his last one he fought. That's what I'm saying. He used to fight at that, but his last one he fought heavyweight against Joey Beltran, and so he moved all the way up to heavyweight to start fighting. So I don't know if he's Mike Richards going to be fighting heavyweight, or he's going back down to this guy's last weigh-in says 155. So who knows what weight they're fighting at? Because he fought Beltran. That's
there you go.
They moved up from like 180 to 200 plus. Now he was an outside linebacker for Alabama, so it's not like he can't put on the weight, but
that was BKFC 13. Yeah.
And lost in the 4th round there. So
he hasn't had a win since August 2019.
That's when he beat Kendall Grove. Yeah. There's the Allen fights. Let's see here.
Our other boy here hasn't had a win since November 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going with Marcel.
I got Marcel as well.
Yeah, I'll go with Marcel. I don't know either of these guys.
Let me see.
He's from 13-5-0. That's this would be Mark Godbeer. God Beer. Oh well. All right. And he is from England.
Yeah, looking through the card, the only other name that I recognize is Lorenzo Hunt. No, that's something I thought it was. Never mind. So yeah, I don't know any of these guys. So this is just
he's won his last 2 bare knuckle fights.
Yeah. Godbeer. That's a good name. I'm going with that. I'm going with Godbeer for name alone. Just for name alone.
Yeah. It's bad when you get the good point spread on your last name, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. So the rest are just going to be toss-ups, but Kleckler and Stamps for the top.
Yeah, that's what we got next weekend. I'm excited.
All right. I have to catch that one. Looks like it's going to be good. And then, obviously, we can't stop talking about boxing without bringing up Jake.
Oh, gosh.
I know. But, again, here's another shot from Jake Paul there.
Hey, good night, Ben Askren, you bum.
So, Jake landed a big right hook on Askren, who eventually got to his feet, but the referee, Brian Stuss, decided to end the fight because he believed that Askren wasn't in shape to continue. And he wasn't. He was stumbling around like a buffoon. The fight was stopped at the 1:59 mark. But they say Askren, with a 19-2 UFC record, didn't seem upset after the loss. He walked away with a $500K payout and a smile on his face right here. There you go. So, $500K and a smile, pat on the back, done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you follow Ben Askren much. He's a kind of a weird guy, you know. And I said it not like in a bad way, but he's
$500K now, weirder.
Well, I mean, he's pretty much nonchalant, like, you know, okay, whatever, you know, just in. So it doesn't surprise me that he was laughing. I heard him get interviewed about his wife had made some joke about, you know, you were retired 6 months ago with the hip surgery. Now there's, you know, mega robots and something else. And there's like 3 or 4 things she's pointing out and kind of made a joke. But I think the thing for Ben Askren is his whole career he fought outside the UFC except for his last 3 fights. In his last 3 fights, he comes in the first one he almost gets knocked out in the first round, and he wins because the ref thought Robbie Lawler was in pain or was out, and he wasn't. So it'd been interesting to see what happens there. But he wins that one, and his next fight is when Jorge Masvidal knocks him out in 5 seconds with that crazy flying knee. Okay, so that's his next fight. And then his next fight is Damian Maia chokes him out, I believe. And then now, so he retires, and then now this. And so it's really weird because so he had hip surgery and he wasn't, he's come back off that. And people make excuses, but it's really weird because his whole career he fought outside the UFC and he was undefeated. In post UFC and post, he's 1-2, and if you count the boxing fight, he's 1-3. And so I was telling my son the other day, it's going to be hard to look back at his pre-UFC career as anything other than probably not that spectacular as he wanted to be. Now, he was a collegiate wrestler. He did good in college and Olympics. Okay, that's fine. But his MMA career, I think, you have to knock out Jake Paul. You have to go in there and beat him. Like, there's no excuse for a world-class fighter to get beat by Jake Paul. It's just not possible. I'm sorry, not possible. It shouldn't happen. And the fact that it happens just shows just how bad you are. And so,
or how bad, yeah.
So I don't think it was a dive. I think he went in there and he's just bad. He's just that bad at boxing. And so, which means he never was going to be a UFC contender. He never was going to win the belt. It means it says a lot of things about his career.
But if he's an MMA fighter, or even got the slightest drip of an MMA fighter, he's not a boxer. So if Paul being obviously the more pumped up, because he is, you can tell every fight he's bringing something at every fight, and the boy is like nonstop training every day. So you go in there, even with someone that's just getting started in the sport, but with that much enthusiasm and that healthy coming into the ring, he's going to be an opponent. There's going to be no doubt about it for a guy like Askren. So
Askren's been fighting MMA, which means he's been training boxing on some level since 2009. His pro debut, I don't know how many amateur MMA fights he had, but his pro debut was February 7th of 2009. It was a knockout with a punch. And he's had other knockouts with punches. And so he's been practicing boxing. It's not the same as just pure boxing versus MMA striking, but the fact that he got knocked out by it's like he even says it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And so anyways, hopefully Askren will go away now and won't hear any more of his nonsense.
He'll become a ringside announcer.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Be interesting to see who Jack goes up against next. Maybe Mickey Mouse. I mean, really though, I am curious. I mean, if he keeps coming on, like he's gonna have to. You think he's gonna be against somebody real here sooner or later? A year, 2 years from now. I mean, something.
I wouldn't if I was him. Why? You keep knocking these guys out, making millions of dollars. As long as the model works.
Just yeah, but how many of these guys can you go through before you have to change the model?
I think that might be the only mistake he made by bringing in Ben Askren. Is that you can't go back down to the basketball player now, right? You just knocked out a real guy.
Well, I think you can. I just think people are like, oh, I've seen that already. So
that's what I'm saying, right? So you knocked out a real fighter. Ben Askren is a real fighter. Whatever you want to think about his skills, he's a real fighter, and he was good. You just knocked him out in the first round. You can't go fight a former NBA player anymore. Like that's just not going to work. People they don't want to see that. They know the result. So the question is who can you find that you can knock out again that's up? Because if you jump up too far, you're gonna get knocked out. So it's a very because this is the other thing about
boxing. I want to see him fight Jose Canseco,
man. Did you watch his last fight? So let me just pull up. Let's see here. Pick up. Let's say Bud Crawford. Okay. So let me just pull this up real quick. So Bud Crawford, who is kind of one of the best fighters in boxing. Bud Crawford's record, his pro record is 37-0. Okay.
Wow.
Let's see if I can find his amateur record, because that's where you really, let's see here. I don't know about him per se. That's why I'm trying to find someone. Amateur. Yeah, so his okay, so Bud Crawford's amateur record. You want to guess what it was?
0-37.
58-12.
Man, he's put on the gloves a lot, did he not?
58-12. And so, a guy, so in boxing, what happens is if they're trying to promote a guy or push a guy, like Jake Paul would be right here, so he's 3-0 or whatever it is, 4-0 now. Like Jake Paul would have had 58. He would have like 50 amateur fights and then 4 professional fights. And so Jake Paul has, I don't know if he has any amateur fights, maybe one. And
all of these are amateur fights.
Well, no, they're professional fights, but I mean,
they're professional fights. But he's still an amateur boxer. He's not. He hasn't moved up to. He doesn't have the time behind him to be able to. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. So to be a world champion, to fight world champion, these guys have 60, 70 fights before they fight their first pro fight, and then they fight 10 to 20 pro fights, and those fights are pretty much managed that they think they're going to win, and so they bring in guys that they almost positively they're going to beat. And so you get 20 pro fights where you're pretty much guaranteed to win. And then when you're about 20-0, 22-0, somewhere in that range, then you start fighting world champions that you think you can beat. So they're world champions, but they're not like the best in the world, but they got some belt. And so it's this whole boxing thing.
So why pull the pin and throw the grenade into the mechanics? Because we haven't had any good boxing over the last 10, 15 years, and they just wanting to bring the sport back up to its heyday, or what? Because this goes against everything that we watched as we were kids coming up.
Right.
A guy like Jake Paul would be sitting on the bench for years before he got a title shot.
Right. So the thing that's changed is that Jake Paul could now go out, start a YouTube channel, and grow an audience, and then sell that product to them. Right.
Right.
In the 90s, there was no Jake Paul. That's what happened. And so that's the difference.
He was Don King. It wasn't Jake Paul, though.
That's right. And so Don King wouldn't have given Jake Paul.
And what was Don King? He was a promoter.
That's right.
Master promoter.
That's right. But Jake Paul wouldn't have even existed because the platform wasn't there.
No,
right.
That's right.
And so now Jake Paul can go find an audience and then sell the product to the audience. He doesn't need all of this other stuff. So, but that doesn't mean that the top boxers still don't have 100 more fights than you. And so there's just a certain level when he crosses a certain threshold. Like those guys we were looking at earlier, that guy that was 18-8, he probably had, 10 to 20 amateur fights. If I had to guess, I have no idea. And they knew when he started boxing that he probably was never going to be an A-side guy. And so, you can go back and look at this stuff. Once you kind of understand how boxing works and you kind of peel back the onion. So I'm just simply saying, if he were to fight a real contender in boxing, he would be at a deficit of 100 fights, 50 fights, 75 fights. And that's a lot. That is a lot of ring time. He's fighting Ben Askren.
That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of hits in the head, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of hits in the head too. So
a lot of time to get that melon jacked around.
But most people don't know that. Like the guy that knocked out Anthony Joshua, the kind of short, fat guy, he had 100 amateur fights, I think.
I still wouldn't want to get hit by that guy.
No.
That guy looks like he's carrying around bricks in his pockets. There's no. I mean, I watched that fight, and it was a bit surprising, and then it wasn't there once you knew kind of some of the history behind both the guys there. But he knew coming into that rematch that he didn't stand a chance. Joshua was coming, so it was, and he just took it for granted. Anthony Joshua just took it for granted. But hey, I enjoyed that fight. Shook the world. It was great. It was great. All right, let's see here. So, just a reminder for anybody that's just joining us, we got a little bit more left in the show, but we're sponsored by 14 and 7 Apparel. They're a small family-owned apparel company based in Alberta that has roots in oil and agriculture. So everyone get in there, download the Lynx application, and visit 14 and 7 and get your 10% off today. Once you download the app, you will receive a code in your email verification, and it will be able to, you can stick that in the website, 14and7apparel.ca, and get your 10% off. So, now,
folks.
They've got some really cool gear. It's stuff that you don't generally find anywhere else. So, here's just a little screenshot of some of them. We got hoodies, t-shirts, hats. Looks like they coming to the market here with some. They also do a lot with agriculture as well, like we said. So there's some totes there for all the farmers. Here's to the farmer. Got these cool tumblers. So yeah, go check them out. Ryan, we talk about the smuggling in the breakfast burritos.
Oh yeah. Crystal man.
Here we go. Ryan. Do you like breakfast burritos?
I love breakfast burritos.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. So that would have been 1995 or 6. It's a little fuzzy there, many burritos ago. But when McDonald's first introduced the breakfast burrito, I was kind of skeptical at first because like there's only you meet people that can make burritos and not make burritos, and everything else that McDonald's ever did, they have down to a smooth art. It doesn't matter what you do. The coffee's the same, the bread's the same texture, the lettuces. Anywhere you go, it's the exact same thing. It depends on what country you're in. Is the difference between the sauce on the sandwich or not? But besides that, the bread's the same, the meat's the same. It's textbook. So, but this whole burrito thing was new for them. They didn't know how to make burritos. You could tell, even with the way they wrapped it, it just was devastating. So you had all this burrito up top with nothing in it, and everything was back down in the bottom. They couldn't get it tight enough. It depended on what it was, who was making it. And so they have eventually figured that out. It took them a couple of years, but they got it down to an art. And I like a good breakfast burrito.
Love them. Little mild sauce, just right. They gotta be fresh, because if you get them when they're cold, like they've been sitting in the thing for too long, and the cheese it and just kind of consolidated. No,
but no, you gotta get it. You gotta get them while they're smoking. That's for sure.
That's right.
So, I really like them, but here's one that the TSA picked up in Hobby here last week. Never heard of them smuggling anything in a breakfast burrito, but they are delicious. But officers were surprised to find crystal meth inside of one of them here at Houston's Hobby Airport. There is the tweet from TSA. So, under protest, I'd
be protesting too.
The traveler unwrapped it, and officers could see a dark object in the middle of the burrito. A second X-ray found. A second X-ray of the food revealed black tape and a large organic mass. I bet the next breakfast he had, the unidentified traveler had, was in prison. So his HPD took the meth, the burrito, and the traveler away with them.
So this guy was trying to eat crystal meth on the plane.
This guy had crystal meth snuggled in his burrito.
And he was going to fly with it.
Hold on. It's right here. So you could see some with the black tape. Yeah. So it was just wrapped up inside the burrito. So he was just smuggling it inside the burrito. I don't know. I guess that's better than booty hole. But I mean, putting it in a burrito was just, I'd never seen that one before, man. Never seen crystal meth in burritos.
Crystal. Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, wonder how many times you have to do this. Like, that's my question. Like, has the meth and the burrito method worked before, and you've gotten away with it for years, and you finally just didn't wrap it right, and you got caught? Or was this like some brilliant idea that you thought you had? You're like, I'm going to put it inside the breakfast burrito because it's wrapped in foil.
Even when you say it, I'm going to stick this inside this breakfast burrito. You didn't actually say that around anyone else, because anyone else would have went, that's a terrible idea.
Well, I can't. Is it wrapped in foil? Is that what it is? Click on the top left picture.
Yeah. So right here.
Yeah. Can you click on that? Blow it up.
Yeah. That's gonna take me over here to Twitter. So let me see here. That is.
Yeah. So it's wrapped in foil. I know what he thought. I bet he thought he could wrap it in the foil. The foil would reflect the X-ray, and they probably made him open it up. If I had to guess, I don't know. Just guess.
Not possible.
Well, what was he
There
trying
it
to
is.
do? He's trying to take to you can't take food through the security area, right?
No, man, I don't know. It was coming. He was coming in. I'm not sure if he was. He must have been trying to get out of there. Anyway, I'm down here with this one, this tweet back here, this reply at the bottom. Who would ruin a good breakfast burrito with drugs? Come on, people.
Yes, no doubt.
That's
No doubt.
anyone here in Texas understands the struggle with the breakfast burritos. You gotta love them. You gotta love them. So it's just
That's crazy.
even the street ones, man. Even the street morning street tacos,
Yeah, I'm not, yeah.
banging. I mean, it just
Bring them one, bring them all.
no, man. But anyway, this gentleman, it actually looked good, and it looks like it come from Papa's too. So I don't know where that's at, but that's terrible advertising for you. So
Yeah, Papa's. Yeah, Papa should take that and say that we don't put meth in all of our burritos. Just kind of.
Disclaimer: Ryan and I do not support meth in breakfast burritos. Just FYI.
Especially if you're trying to smuggle it. Like, that's a better contact us. We've got better methods. We'll let you know. Greg does, at least. He's an expert in that stuff, not me.
I don't smuggle anything but work. That's all. That's all I do. But my goodness, that's coming to an end there for us. So if you hadn't ever heard of the War Room, so that's Ryan Ray there. He has this. He does a weekly newsletter. Sometimes he pops out with a couple of pieces during the week that'll surprise you. That you can get in under his subscription here. You go to warroommedia.substack.com /riglynx, and you can get you a discount there. And yeah, that's $80 a year. He does some pretty good gear there. I do appreciate the work that he puts in. He has multiple guests that he brings to the table with him. And yeah, other than just being basically a ninja assassin, he does quite well with some of his commentary. So yeah, get in there and check out his newsletter and go subscribe to the War Room today.
Thank you for that, Greg. I appreciate it.
Be good times. But again, I'm Greg with Riglynx, and that is Ryan with War Room Media. Thanks for joining us this week for another edition of Overtime. And that's a wrap for us, Ryan.
Be back next week, folks. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, there we go. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming by. Bye. You've been watching Overtime, a live series brought to you by Riglynx and War Room Media. Your hosts have been Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglynx.com. Tune in next Thursday at 10 a.m. CST for another live episode.